Hey guys, Gemma from ASD Rocks. For those of you who have been following the eternal funding saga with the National Disability Insurance Scheme, yes, that's what they chose to call it for Australia. The funding for disability people is called a scheme, and might I say, it certainly is. So for those of you who have been following the fact that to get Beau the funding that he needs, I have to put in a requisition for a change of circumstances. There isn't actually a change of circumstances, it's just that our appeal was denied. So because they only funded him for $2,000 a year, which I don't know if you've actually tried to fund a human being for $2,000 a year with all of the therapies that they need, but yeah, it's insufficient to say the least. So to be able to file for a change of circumstances, I have to put in a capacity report. To have a capacity report, it has to be done by an occupational therapist. This is all chewing into, by the way, the funding that they've given me, which means that it doesn't go on to Beau, it goes on to the people who are doing the reports. Last time I managed to get a company to send out an occupational therapist who went ahead and did all of the things required for a capacity report, and then on the last day told me that he was leaving the company and wouldn't be able to get that capacity report, and that they would be in contact with me to get me someone else. Once again, needless to say, no one contacted me at all, and you, I think, should have, could have, would have, oh, someone's broken down, seen the saga involved in trying to get a capacity report. Well, we have been given a new person who has come over again, and by the way, all of this is being billed. It's not like they're saying, oh, we're really sorry, we've already done this work. So they're still billing me for every time this occupational therapist comes, who needs to do exactly the same and ask exactly the same questions, regardless of the fact that they have all of the reports from before. So they are, I've got someone new. She's actually amazing. She's really great, but ultimately she's just doing exactly what the last person did, but she can speak English and she can spell, so we're leagues ahead of where we were before. So now, today, we had her coming over again, and Beau came into me at 9 this morning. He was like, Mum, do you remember that we've got someone coming over today for, you know, I was like, oh gosh, that's right. So, you know, I started running around actually trying to look decent. And he came into me at about 9:15. He said, do you know what? He said, I'm not doing it, because this was his day to come down and do all the things. So first they take all the information from the parent, blah blah blah, and then they do you know, all these tests, stupid tests, color in this, you know, color in all the circles this color, and color in the house, and write your name, and you know, things like that. It's so generalized and broad, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, so he came into me today and he said, you know what, I'm not doing it. Now, Beau has never said no to anything before, nothing. That kid has been doing therapy since he was 16 months old. He has never said no. And I don't know if it's just been a really big week. I don't know if he was just over it. And he said, you know what, it's too early for me. I don't feel comfortable. It's too early. I mean, I'm explaining it I'm sort of making the words bigger than he did. He just said, it's too early for me, I don't want to do it. and I turned around and looked at him and went, okay. He's never said no before, and I want him to understand the power of words. And I also, you know, he's coming on 17. I want him to understand the power of choice as well. That's all part of independent living. And you know what? The occupational therapist has to realize that they're dealing with people with, you know, especially when it comes to autism, they're dealing with people who won't just click and turn on at the time that they want to do their things. So this lovely girl came over today, and I said to her, I'm really sorry, Beau is not in the mood for performing today. He doesn't want to come downstairs. He went back to bed, in fact. He was like, nah. He didn't even bother getting showered, getting dressed, which is really unusual for him. I don't know if there was more to it. He didn't say there was more to it, but that's as good as I get. So yeah, really interesting. So she came over and I said, look, I'm really sorry, but it's not happening. And she was lovely about it, and she said, yeah, okay, no worries, that's fine. And so we sat and we sort of talked, and I said, you know, he's done all of these. I mean, the last guy got him to do it. Surely you can take the coloured in picture and have a look at the way it was coloured in and come to the same conclusions. You know, surely you can find all of that stuff that he's already done. She said, yeah, you know, but I also need to sort of see him and speak to him, which I understand completely. It's just Beau's not in the performing seal mood today. So I said, yep, you know what? That's fine. We'll have to make an appointment for another time. And she said to me, she looked at me and she said, you know, and how are you doing? And I just looked at her, and I was taken back. And she said, how are you doing? And my chin started wobbling, and I was like, whoa, it's been a while since someone's asked me that. She said, you know, have you got any support? Do you have anyone supporting you? And I started to tell her the story about, you know, how when Beau was diagnosed, and I took him over to my father's house, and I said, you know, Dad, I really need you to just take a little bit of time out. Just, you know, I just one day a week. I need Beau to see you one day a week so that he knows who you are. And Dad was like, look, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking time off work for that. And I said, no, you don't have time to take time off work. And it doesn't have to be a whole day, but just one day a week, so that he grows up with a consistent understanding of who you are, what, you know. And he said, look, Gemma, you know, he's not verbal, he doesn't talk. And I said, well, what if he never talks? And he said, well, we'll cross that path when we come to it. And I just burst into tears with this woman. And then she burst into tears. It was just a freak occurrence, freak encounter. I don't know what happened. I really don't. And she said, you know, have you got therapy? And I'm like, yeah, I've got therapy. I said, you know, the really great thing about what we used to have before we had the NDIA or the NDIS, we used to have a thing called FAXIA, and then FAXIA was replaced with HCA, which is helping children with autism, and then they decided to roll everything into disability, which is just silly, because basically they want to hand out the same disability fees to someone who is paralyzed from the neck down to someone who has autism and is mobile and high functioning. I mean, people need more than that, you know, chairs for these people. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, I had a complete, I don't know what happened. Luckily enough, right after that, I had therapy, because Thursdays are my therapy days. And, you know, I said, I don't know, you know, I said, I've told that story 1,000 times. I have no idea why today I just burst into tears. I mean, I'm just going to put it down to good old hormones like everybody else does. But yeah, I think the fact that I've been estranged from my father, for so long, longer than he, I think, realizes, because even when I was still trying and I was still pushing and I was still, you know, I would ring him and say, you know, well, what about Finn? Finn's, you know, he's talking, will you see him? And, you know, and then I would hear about these big days out that my dad had taken all his other grandchildren out to Puff and Billy or whatever, and it just, it just keeps breaking my heart. It really keeps breaking my heart. And now Beau knows what a grandfather is, but he has no idea what a grandfather is. He knows what the name means. He knows it means it's his mother's father. That's what a grandfather is. But he has absolutely no concept of what a relational grandfather is. And I think Finn really missed out on that too. So today has been a very emotional day for me, because it sort of brought up a lot of stuff from the last, I guess, 17 years that, I try and push and bury. I mean, I've processed it 1,000 times. Don't get me wrong. When I say push and bury, it's not like I haven't spoken to my therapist about it. It's not like I haven't spoken to 1,000 people about it. But in the end, the truth is the truth. And no matter how much and how many times I say it, no matter how much I accept it, I feel for my kids, although they don't know what they're missing. But I do. I do feel for them. Because I did try. I tried so many times, and I tried so hard, and it just wasn't meant to be. So we're nowhere closer, in summary, we're nowhere closer to getting a capacity report. And yet it's probably cost me so far now 3, 6, 9 plus the 400, because apparently she started the report. So well over, I don't know, well over $1,200, $1,300 to get a capacity report that might be accepted. Don't know if it will. And this is to put in for a request for a change of circumstances to get the correct funding. I've spent almost all the funding that we have just trying to get the right funding. So, yay, system.